These two assignments are going in soon. I'm behind, but I'll get it in over the weekend. That's the plan. We're going to have a test, probably not next Friday. We'll see. Things are taking longer than they should. It is what it is. You should have written sub yesterday. You should have drawn this triangle, and today you really got to be able to do this process, labeling O, H, and A. O stands for opposite, H stands for hypotenuse, A stands for adjacent, okay? Everyone looking over here? Okay, so check it out. This weird little symbol is called theta, which I'll explain in a minute, but it's a Greek letter, okay? It's like X, okay? So from theta, you want to put an arc there, okay? That's where you're starting, and what you want to do is put an O on the other side. So I always like to draw an arrow straight through the middle, put an O. So you want to get in the process of drawing arrows straight through the middle, okay? H is always across from 90. Now, we already learned that in right triangle, like Pythagorean theorem stuff, right? So across from 90 is your H. And then your leftover third side is A. We are going to be doing this a lot today and Monday. So you got to be able to label O, H, and A. Opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. So make sure your name is on your warm-ups and pass them to the front, please.
Oh my.
All right. Thank you. What? Nope. Okay. Let's talk about trigonometry. Ever heard about trigonometry before? Yes? Great. All right. So first of all, at the top, you can draw that theta symbol again. That way you have it on your notes somewhere. That's theta, T-H-E-T-A. Theta is a Greek letter. It's like X. It's a variable. Okay, get those down. Thumbs. Out of your hands and all this stuff. There. Hold away, please. Stay with me here. Let's write down this vocab for hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is the side that's always across from 90 degrees, right? Okay, the adjacent side is next to theta. The opposite side is across from theta. I hear myself in the other room. They're using my videos. Hey, in the back. Who knows? All right, so trigonometry. Okay, trigonometry is basically just a bunch of ratios. Do y'all know what ratios are? Bunch of fractions, okay? Ratios are just fractions of numbers, okay? So, what are the three trig functions? They are, the way you say this, sine, cosine, tangent, okay? Abbreviated like these over here, but we'll get to that in a minute. So a sine ratio is a fraction, and the fraction is opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So there's three trig ratios we're talking about. They make these fractions. We can abbreviate them like this. Sine is really O over H. O stands for opposite, obviously. H stands for hypotenuse. Cosine is A over H, adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is O over A, opposite over adjacent. Now, if you look at the name of the trig and then the ratio, okay, this one looks like SOH, this one is CAH, this one is TOA. If you put that in letters next to each other, it makes what we call SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA, okay? So that little phrase is there to remind you that sine is O over H, cosine is A over H, tangent is O over A. Now, what we try to do is give you a cute, memorable way to remember SOHCAHTOA. So who wants to hear a fun story? It'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, it'll make you throw up. All right, so here's a true story. One day my toe hurt. Anybody ever stubbed their toe before? All right. That's the first person all day that said yes. That's crazy. Everyone's like, no. So anyways, I stubbed my toe. And it hurt really bad. It hurt more than it should be. You know, like if you hit your toe, it's like whatever. It's like you can kick a soccer ball and it shouldn't hurt. But it really hurt. So like I looked at my toe, it was very red. It was very swollen. I was in a lot of pain. Well, went to the doctor, found out I had an ingrown toenail. And it was actually on both sides of the same toe. Now, if you don't know what that is, let me explain it in detail here. So the nail starts growing down into your skin. It's horrible. It's very painful. It was like pussy and stank. It was horrible. All right? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you sick from that story. But it's part of the story. Okay? That's the low point. We're going to triumph over this. We're going to get over this horrible thing that I had to go through. Now, have y'all ever heard of Epsom salts? There you go. So Epsom salt is just salt, basically. You mix it with water, and you can use it to cleanse things, to sanitize things, right? So the doctor was like, you need to submerge your toe in water with Epsom salt, all right? So basically, they were asking me to SOHCAHTOA. Real quick, because we're doing brand new stuff. All right. SOHCAHTOA. Turns out, so that did disinfect my toe, but guess what? The nail was still growing into my flesh, and it had to be removed. So, all right. Well, I got a better one than that. I can outdo that. Y'all ready for a better story than that? Okay. No. I could, but I won't. I will spare you the pictures. That's for sure. All right. So. Check it out. Y'all are going to love this. Y'all are going to love this. Ready? All right. So, when I think of SOHCAHTOA, okay, I think of like a problem like this. I'm missing a side link on a triangle. Look at that guy up.
Hey, Ryan. Yeah.
If I'm missing a side length on a right triangle, and I know a side, and I know an angle, I can take this and I can do something about it, right? Now, not every math problem is like an existential evil in the world, okay? But I want you to imagine this, okay? Let's say this math problem is like a really bad guy, so like a real evil person, right? Sometimes you have to defeat with power. So when I think of trigonometry, I think of like gathering all the energy particles around me and gathering them into one point and then charging them up so I can then release them. So what I do is I gather them and I just say that phrase that helps me power up. And I say, so ka Who wants to stand in the? Who wants to selfie with the? No one. All right. Fun times. Fun times. All right. You don't want to stand there? Hey, look. I'll stand right here. Right. Real quick. I'm about to learn some. What do you say?
Yes. You gotta go. Okay, and then pretend like you do the power.
Yeah, and I'm right here. I'm like,
You gotta get in the hair one and go sugar.
That was good. That was good. All right. Now, back on track here. Let's talk about trigonometry. So you got to remember SOHCAHTOA. Don't forget. You'll never forget. Hopefully. All right. Now, think back to your warm-up. Okay. Look right here. Now, I know this is abbreviated. This looks like it says sin, but you actually say the word sine. We don't sin in my class, right?
No.
Okay. I know this looks like cost, but we don't say cost words in my class. It's actually called cosine. And I know this looks like tan, but we don't tan in this class. Keep your shirts on. It's called tangent. Okay. So sine, cosine, tangent. Those are the names of these functions. So let's talk about it. Sine, cosine, and tangent. Next to all these is P. That means P is where you're starting. On that triangle off to the right, everybody put a little arc where P is. Right here. Okay? I'm going to give you 10 seconds. I want you to label O, H, and A. O is opposite of P. H is opposite of the 90. And then A is the third missing angle. See if you can label right now on your picture, label O, H, and A starting at P. Try it. Across from P, put an O. Across from P, put an O. Across from 90, put an H. Don't look at me, look at your paper now, and go ahead and do it. You can't, do it. Yes. Okay, you should have done it by now. So again, because you are starting at P, you draw an arrow across. That is opposite. Across from 90, this is your hypotenuse. And your leftover side is A for adjacent. You have to be able to label OHA. Cool? Now, once we've labeled it, this should be easy. S, if I remember, SOHCAHTOA, S is what over what? O over H. That's the so. So what's O and what's H? 16 over 20. Write that down. Now, the only other thing you may have to do, not that, is reduce the fractions. So what is 16 over 2 reduced to? Now, if you just type it in, it'll do it for you. So 4 over 5. Cool. Now, cosine. C is your ca. Don't say it twice. Now, C is A over H. A is 12, H is 20, so it's A over H, 12 over 20. Write that down. That video is me teaching this exact same lesson like 3 years ago. Crazy. I'm like, back then, I was teaching 3 years in the future now, and you can hear that audio on this recording, which is in the future of that video. All right. Basically, we're bending time. Okay, now, 12 over 20 is what? 3 over 5. Write it down. Last one is tan. Tan is TOA, O over A, right? Which is what? 16 over 12? Write that down. What is 16 over 12 reduced to? 4 over 3? Now, that's the three ratios. We're done with that column. But look, next to it, it looks like the same question, except we're starting at Q. Now, here's the deal. If you change the angle from P to Q, that's going to mess up your OHA. You have to relabel it. So everybody, scratch out OHA. We're going to have to relabel O, H, and A. I want everybody, starting at Q, to label OHA. I'm going to walk by and see you do it right now. So make sure you do it. Starting at Q, right here, relabel OHA, right? Try harder to get, please. Q, oh, he's not going to be over here. All right. Okay.
I'm figuring it out. Oh, shit.
The original. Why is H here? Why would H be? H is always across from 90. Right? Q. Where's O? Where's O? Across from Q. All the arrows across from Q. Where to go? Do it. All his bag. Scratch him out. Oh. And relabel starting at Q. You start here, slow is over Q. Scratch them out and relabel OHA starting at Q. Go. Q is where you're trying to avoid O's and your coffee. H never moves.
Oh, you can discuss that with him. That's what you said. Yeah, we don't go take care of the point of making. All right.
All right. O, coming to, O. Over here. All right, look over here, please. You are relabeling from Q. Here's my Q. So if I relabel, O is going to be straight across from Q. That's my new O. Okay? I shouldn't have to tell you like 5 times. Just keep it out. Now, H is always across from 90. H does not actually move. Okay? H will actually stay exactly where it was. So really all you're doing is switching O and A when they change the angle. So down here is my A. Let's write down these ratios. Sine is so, it's O over H. So what over what? We have relabeled it. Sine is O over H. What over what? What is O in this picture? 12 over 20. Okay, thank you. 12 over 20 reduces to 3 over 5. Cosine is ca, A over H. So we have 16 for A, 20 for H. 16 over 20 reduces to 4 over 5. And then tan is TOA, O over A. Again, O is 12, A is 16. 12 over 16 is 3 over 4 when you reduce it, okay? So you have to be able to label correctly where O, H, and A are, and then remember SOHCAHTOA to make your fractions, okay? All right, now, the next one, I'll give you a second. I want you to start at angle what? What angle did we start at? A. Put an arc at A and label OHA. It should take you like 5 seconds. Do it now. Starting at angle A, label OHA. O is opposite, H is hypotenuse, A is adjacent. Hey, do this, please. Okay. Hey, hey you, did you label OHA? Really? So which one's O? Here. Yeah, the one I literally just said when you were on the phone. Okay, so look, if you're starting at A, where's the opposite? If you draw an arrow straight across, what's the opposite? What's the opposite? What's the opposite of angle A? Okay. Sure? Okay. What's the hypotenuse? It's always across from 90. You gotta know that. H is always across from 90. And then the leftover one is A, okay? Now, we're gonna do SOHCAHTOA. S is O over H. O over H. 15 over 17. Write that down here. Cosine is A over H. Ca, right? So it's gonna be 8 over 17. And then tangent is TOA, O over A, 15 over 8. Okay. Now, look at the next 3 blanks. We're not talking about sine or we're not talking about the angle A anymore. We're talking about which angle? So you need to relabel O, H, and A starting at angle C. So like we learned last time, you're going to scratch out O and A. Okay. H stays across from 90 every time, right? But if I'm starting at C, what's my new O? It is 8. From C, the new O is over here. So that means 15 is my new A. When they change the angle, it changes your OHA, specifically just the O and the A. They switch, okay? So what's the sine of C? Sine is O over H, right? So what over what? 8 over 17. And then cosine is ca. And then A over H is what over what? Does this make sense or no? Because I'm not getting y'all's feedback. Okay, for one of y'all. Everyone else. What do you think? Sure? Now, tan is TOA, so what am I going to put? What over what? which is what over what? 8 over 15. Look at that. Now, does everyone have a yellow calculator on their desk? We got to be able to get one. You have to be able to plug the stuff into your yellow calculator. Okay. Trigonometry and my calculator. Now, first of all, your calculator needs to be in degrees mode. So I'm going to show you how to do that with your yellow calculator on your desk, right? Make sure you grab these on the way in like you're supposed to every other day of the week. You know what I'm saying? Now, go ahead and turn on your calculator. Press the on button so you're on the main screen that looks like this, please. And everyone's doing this. You have to make sure you're in degrees mode because you could be typing the right buttons and it could give you the wrong answer if it's in the wrong mode. So everyone's looking at their yellow calculator, not their phone, right? Now check it out. You want to go to settings, which is number 5. So press the on button, hit number 5 for settings. And then we need to go to document settings, which is number 2. So we hit on button, number 5, number 2, and this second option needs to say degrees. If it says radians or gradians, that's wrong, okay? So make sure it says degrees. By now, they should all be in degree mode, but double check. If it's not, you change it and make sure you press OK. And now let's go to a new document, okay? A brand new calculator. On your notes, it says sine 30. We want to actually just type in sine 30. Now, you could literally type S-I-N 30, but there's a trig button. Y'all see a trigonometry or a trig button? Where is it? Next to the number 7 is trig. Y'all see that? Trig for trigonometry. Click the trig button, please. Now, there's lots of different trigs here. There's the 3 we know from today. There's inverse on the bottom. There's the stuff you're going to learn maybe one day in calculus, whatever. Okay, so, but all we care about is sine, cosine, and tangent. What are we going to type in our calculator? Sine 30. So click sine 30, enter. You should get 0.5. If you didn't, you're not in degrees mode. That would be a shame. So sad. Can you do the other 2 real quick as well? Just type them in real quick. Tangent 45, cosine 60. Okay, tan 45, cosine 60. Hey, you type it in? Do it. You got to know how to press these buttons. Hey. You do it. You did. All 3 of them. You should have gotten 0.5, 1, and 0.5. You know where these buttons are, right? Did you do it? Let's write this in. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so everyone knows where the trig button is, how to type stuff in. Now, all that was leading up to this point. How do you find a missing side in a right triangle giving one side and one angle? Okay, so we know in that box, sine is what over what? So, thank you. SOHCAHTOA, it's O over H. Right? SOHCAHTOA. Now, look at this picture right here. Which angle did they give us that's not 90? That's not an angle. 55 degrees. So put an arc there, or there already is an arc there, right? Can you label O, H, and A starting at 55? Do it now, everybody. Label OHA, especially you, and you, and you, and you. Everybody, literally. Let's do it. Okay. Across from 55 is my opposite. Across from 90 is always H. Leftovers are A. Do the other one too. Starting at what angle? The only angle they gave us is 60. Do the same thing over there. OHA. OHA. They go OHA, please. I did on this YouTube channel that I'm recording for right now that has 1,200 videos and 180 subs, by the way. I did make a math rap. I did with the other math teachers. And there's auto-tune. No, there's not. None, and they're using them next door for free, ripping me off. I should, right? But I won't. All right, here we go. Did you label O, H, and A? Now, here's the deal. When you're doing this, people ask me, Mr. G, which one do I pick? Sine, cosine, or tangent? And I say, my friend, here's how you tell. When you are given a triangle, they only give you two things sometimes. Now, which two things do we know? We know H, we know O is X. Do you see how A has nothing on it? It's worthless. I don't need that. Scratch out A. A has nothing on it. 55 is not A. 55 is inside. Okay? So A, or any side that is blank, you scratch it out. You don't need it. Now, what two sides do we have? O and H. Looking at SOHCAHTOA, which one is O and H? The S, SOHCAHTOA, right? So I would not pick cosine because I don't have an A for the ka. I wouldn't pick tangent because I don't have an A for the toa, right? I would have to pick sine because I only have an O and an H. Do you see how you're forced to use sine? Okay, so here's how you set this up. Write sine, S-I-N. You always write the trig first, then you write the angle. What is the angle that we started at here? 55. So sine 55 in parentheses, and then you put equals, and now you're going to put the ratio, O over H. What's O? X over, what's H? You can answer. 25.5. When you set up these equations, it is trig, angle, equals, ratio. That's how you set it up, okay? Now, to solve this, we need x by itself. X is not by itself. It is being divided by a number. How do I get rid of a divided by a number? What's the opposite? Multiply. Do you see when x is on top, you're going to have to multiply by the denominator. So times 25.5 on the top and times 25.5 on the bottom. Sorry, I should have said multiply 25.5 on the right and on the left. Okay? Everyone getting this? This is brand new stuff. When you're trying to get rid of a denominator, you multiply, cancels out. And on this side, you're multiplying. Now that x is by itself, all I got to do is type this from the calculator, and I'm done. So can we type that in? Sine 55 times 25.5. Take my calculator. I press trig sine 55. Go to the right, 25.5. Do you see how 25.5 is after it? Right? And I'm multiplying. Hit enter, you should get 20.888. That third 8 makes the second 8 round up to 20.89. What are my units of measure? Centimeters, okay? You see that? Okay, so make sure you put centimeters. Okay, could you do that where you label OHA, you cross out the one you don't need, you pick the right trig, you set up the equation, and you solve for x, and you plug it in the calculator? Lots of steps, but you can do it. Let's do it again off to the right here. In the back, hey, which one of these do I not need? O, H, or A? Which one has nothing on it? A, scratch it out. Which one of these is only O and H? Right? Sine. So go ahead and write it again. Sine, bless you. What is the angle that I started at? 60. So sine 60 equals, what's O over H going to be? Now this time, O is 10, H is X. How is this one a little different than last time? The X is no longer on the top. Now the X is on the bottom in the denominator, right? So we're going to have to do a different step to get that. Okay. All right, so look. How do I get X by itself if it's down in the bottom of the fraction? Okay. Now look. Or do y'all have any ideas? How can I get X by itself? Lots of conversations. Y'all got ideas over here or what?
Yes.
What do I do? Get X by itself. What'd you say? You said nothing. Right. Mumble, mumble, mumble. Okay. Don't mumble. Now, multiply is not right because X is not on top. So here's the deal, and I need everyone to listen in the back. When X is on the bottom, you're going to need to move X to the left, and you're going to need to move the sine 60 to the right. There are 2 steps involved. Do you want me to show you 2 whole steps, or do you want me to show you a shortcut? I'm not going to show you 2 whole steps. I thought you would take the shortcut. In general, take the shortcut in life if it's okay, and it is okay, I promise you, okay? Now look, to get X to the left and sine 60 to the right, you can literally just swap spots with them. Switch them over, okay? Sine 60 is going to go down here. X is going to go over to the left. They can literally switch spots. Literally. Bigly. All right, so check it out. X is now over here. 10 stays on the top, though. And the sine 60 goes to the bottom. Now, let me explain what happened on this shortcut. On this shortcut, what we just did, we did 2 steps. We multiplied X on both sides and divided sine 60 on both sides. They end up switching spots. So hear me say this. When X is on the bottom in the denominator, you literally switch it with the trig. If you can remember that, it'll save you some steps. I'm trying to help you save steps, okay? Now, can you type that fraction in the calculator? 10 divided by sine 60. Let's try. 10 divided by sine 60. I get 11.547. The 7 makes the 4 round up, so 11.55. What are my units of measure here? Kilometers. That's very, very long. Okay. This is the point where we stopped with other classes, so we'll stop here and do the backside on Monday. Okay. Thank you for following along.